Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over my build of the Gaui Eclipse E28R. I did this build as a pictorial because I don't have a cameraman and it's just a lot easier for me to do the build, take some pictures, and just continue with the build. So with that said, let's start with some of the components I'll be using. As you can see in the first couple slides, I chose to use Scorpion motors and they fit the arms really nicely. This little grommet type installation makes for a nice clean install of the wires, and if you chose you could actually install some speed controllers under the arms. But I'll be installing my speed controllers inside the frame, and there isn't a whole lot of room in there, so I had to find some small speed controllers. And I like to have a nice amount of headroom with my speed controllers, so I wanted 30 amp speed controllers. I only found a couple options that might have fit, but the ones I ended up going with are these Flycolor Raptor 30 amp speed controllers that come with BL Heli already flashed. I got them at Hobby King. I think they were about $10 a piece or so, and here you can just see how small they really are, just a little bit bigger than a quarter. Their actual measurements are 27 by 12 by 6 millimeter as per the Hobby King website, and they supposedly weigh 8.6 grams with the wires, which I'll be shortening, so they probably weigh maybe about 8 grams. Up next is the receiver I'll be using. It's a Lemon RX DSMX compatible 6-channel receiver with diversity antennas. This was, I think, about $12 or $13, and if I remember correctly, I got it at buddyrc.com, and I believe it weighs about 5 grams. And the last major component I'll be using is this video transmitter, which I got at Banggood's US Direct Warehouse for about $30 with shipping included. I believe it weighed about 7.5 grams, and it's capable of either 25 or 200 milliwatt transmission. Okay, so now it's time to start getting into actual build, and in these first couple slides you'll see where I just was trying to get the wires organized, and it really wasn't until I started soldering things that I kind of figured out how I wanted to do it, and it just kind of became easy. I did have to bend up the PWM pins a little bit so the wires could fit under there easier, and overall it made for a pretty easy and clean installation. Here I'm mounting the speed controllers to the main board using some 3M mounting tape, and it turned out that the label stickers peeled off the heat shrink pretty easily, so it might be best to remove those before putting on the tape. On the other end, I didn't want to cover the MOSFETs just because I didn't want to blanket them for heat any more than they might already generate. Next I had to figure out what I wanted to do as far as connecting the speed controllers to the motors, and I like using bullet plugs, so that's what I did, but it turns out that there's not a whole lot of room inside the frame once you go to button everything up, so they kind of got in the way, and I don't know, I might solder them direct later on. When it came to the signal wires for the speed controllers, I just kind of bundled them up because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with them yet. Later on I might add some ferrite rings since there's room in here, but for now they'll just stay like this. Here's a couple more slides of the motors and the arms. Okay, here I'm connecting the breakout cable for the flight controller to my receiver, and here I'm disconnecting the S-Bus plug and wire since I won't be using S-Bus. For the video transmitter, I used the wire that came with the E28R and spliced it with the wire that came with the video transmitter. To mount the video transmitter, I used a small piece of neoprene foam since the SMA plug didn't allow for level mounting of the transmitter. I installed my control receiver vertically in between the video transmitter and the sidewall of the E28R. I used a small piece of mounting tape underneath to hold it in place. Using an SMA extension cable, I connected the video transmitter's antenna output to the rear polycarbonate antenna mount. Before continuing, I just wanted to tidy up those signal wires for the speed controllers and add some tie wraps for the motors. Inside the frame there's a yellow pin jumper which allows you to select whether you're going to use 3S or 4S LiPos. This is likely just to allow for a more accurate voltage regulation for your camera and video transmitter. Since I'll be regularly switching between 3S and 4S and I don't really want to open up the frame to change this pin jumper, I made my own little switch for it instead. I don't think anything can be damaged by using the wrong setting here with this pin jumper, but there might be some other funny things that can happen, like when your battery starts getting low, the camera or video transmitter might shut down or start acting funny, so it really is optimum to use the proper setting. I'll be mounting my switch on top of the flight controller above the USB port, which means I'll be able to access it from outside the case with a small screwdriver, Allen key, or something like that. Here you can see how easy it'll be to switch from outside the frame. Now these next couple slides are me adding a capacitor to the video transmitter line, which are actually something I did after building the quad and test flying it because there was some noise, but it really didn't help that much. Earlier I forgot to replace the carbon plate over the signal pin, so that's what's going on here. And the very last problem I faced was once I had the frame all closed up, I had no easy way to change the video transmitter channel. So I drilled a hole in the side of the frame, which allowed me to insert a small screwdriver or Allen key and access the button, which allows me to change the group and channel for the video transmitter. After making certain that my receiver was bound to my transmitter and that my failsafes were set, all that was left was to tuck in those bulky 2mm bullet plugs for my motors and close up the top frame. After that, I just had to go into clean flight and change some settings. Here you can see I enabled one shot 125 and the motor stop function, and I changed the receiver mode to PWM. And since I am using PWM, I just had to go in the ports page and change the serial RX function on UART2 to disabled. After that, it was just a matter of changing some preferences with things like the flight modes and control rates. After I did a quick test hover, I just went ahead and upped all my control rates to what you can see here. After finishing the clean flight setup, I went ahead and reinstalled the fuselage and added some decals, and then I went out to my RC club to take some pictures before attempting my first maiden. Unfortunately, the first attempt didn't work out, but in the near future I'll be uploading the actual maiden as well as other flights, and I'm sure some modification videos like maybe adding the servo for the camera tilt with the TX control. Otherwise, I really enjoyed this build. I hope you did too. If you want to catch any of these other videos when they come, subscribe to my channel. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.